I'm like, I know the inner workings of your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You got a smile on your face. I would not be smiling if I had that man. I'd be crying. Hey, I'm your host Alexis.
And I'm your co-host Truth.
Sit back and relax because you're
in good company.
Guys, this episode is going to be a good one. I think it's a lesson or it's just a conversation a lot of people need to hear, need to have. That's not a diss on my viewers. Kisses. I used to be right in your position. But this is all about learning to have boundaries and how to start incorporating them into your everyday life. So first thing I just want to say shout out to this one TikTok creator. Now, if you guys know him, his name is KB. I usually do not shout out individual creators, but I will say, and I usually don't listen to men like that, this man has given a lot of great advice when it comes to boundaries. His niche is relationships, but I think you can apply his advice and his, I guess, breaking down the way he's break down situations to any aspect of your life. And that is why I've come to really enjoy his content. And when I need to be reminded of what my boundaries are and why I have them, I go to a video of somebody unfortunately getting disrespected and hearing his take and his response to it. So, Truk, I just first want to ask you, because we're going to be diving deep into the topic, what would you feel like your boundaries are, and have you always had them? Or is it something like you've developed over time?
So low-key, I am a people pleaser, and I've had some friends point it out, and I'm like, okay. But I think it really goes down to, because I've never really sat down and made a bullet point list of what my boundaries are. I feel like I have this general vibe check of if I feel disrespected continually, even after I bring it up, I kind of take a step back. Like, I'm a very slow fader, if that makes sense, when it comes to my boundaries. But I don't know. I don't have that strong list that you may have.
You know what's crazy though? I think boundaries, you can think of them as like red flags, yellow flags, and green flags in dating or relationships or whatever it is. Stuff that you're absolutely like, I'm not tolerating. Maybe I'll tolerate, we can have a conversation, and okay, I like you. You're not hitting anything I'm concerned about. Now, when it comes to me, I will say I used to have poor boundaries, and that honestly I feel comes from being bullied. That will lead you to having poor boundaries to an extent, or maybe you have great boundaries because you're like, I'm not letting anybody mess with me. But I think growing up,
is different.
Growing up, I was very like timid. I was super shy. So when I was, being made fun of, I didn't want more attention on me, right? So I wasn't really going out of my way to stand up for myself, which now that would not happen. I feel like I'm to the point where if you're making fun of me, I just feel childlike. I'm like, what are we doing? This just feels like very like young behavior.
Yeah.
Not saying kids make fun of kids, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're beyond that.
Right,
so I look at you like, okay, are you not grown? So that's how I perceive it. But also, I've noticed that when you bring things up and you talk about like, hey, this was a line for me, if someone reacts poorly and shuts you down, then that's a sign they do not need to be in your life if they cannot respect your boundaries. And if they completely dismiss how you feel, that's a cue in. I'm like, okay, I'm good.
That's time to wash your hands.
I wanted
and
to
go.
have a conversation with you. I wanted to fix things. But if you are completely dismissive of what I'm telling you, then there's nothing here.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing. People can communicate and attempt to have boundaries with people who don't respect them, so it never goes well, and they internalize it rather than thinking that's a them problem, not a you problem.
Right.
So okay, continuing now, so you feel like your boundaries are more of a vibe check, like you feeling people out, you're like, you feel sus to me, like
like we'll see. Yeah. And I think that's just like me navigating just like people in real life,
right? Like your
just in general,
right? Your previous lived experiences. You're like, oh, okay, I'm getting a feeling here,
right? It's like, oh, I peeped that you did such and such, and like it's not per se a boundary that I'm setting up. It's kind of just like a protected wall where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to share this aspect of myself if I know that you have this and that.
And you think what I think is so funny about you saying that, when I think about like the way you're kind of like feeling people out based off what you've experienced before versus how like I think part of it is like feeling somebody out and being like, oh, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
And because you were saying how you don't necessarily just cut people off, like you know,
yeah, I'm a fader,
right? You're a fader. You'll like dip.
I'll stay.
One thing about me, I'm gonna let you know what you either I fade because I don't think you're like worth that type of time or attention, or I will let you know exactly what you did because I want you to be held accountable for your actions. So it's interesting. I'll say
we have different approaches.
Yeah, vastly different. I will say I definitely have like hard lines where if it happens, I'm like, absolutely not. You're done. If I feel the relationship can be amended and I want to like communicate with somebody, or I can tell it wasn't coming from like a cruel place, I will have that conversation. I've had that conversation, and it always kind of makes me nervous because you don't know how people are going to respond. But I've told myself it says a lot about how if they dismiss your feelings, that says a lot about them. And if people are completely undermining how you feel, I don't want them in my life anymore. Because if that I'm trying to bring something up to you and you're like, you're turning it around, or you're making me feel like I'm to blame for being too sensitive. Like that's something that happens that's been told to people. I'm like, I'm dipping, I'm going. But when it comes to boundaries, are they different when it comes to like dating and friendships, or do you think they're the same for you?
I like to believe that they're the same, mainly because in terms of basic, human interaction, there's trust that you build over time in both friendships and relationships. I think with relationships, it goes deeper, but starting off, it is very similar.
Yeah,
How do you feel?
That. Okay, so I have not been in a serious I haven't been in a relationship. I don't know why serious. Like
you haven't been in one.
But I've been in stuff. I don't want to say call them situations. There weren't situations, but I've been involved with people where it feels like
talking stages.
No, okay. We went out. I've been involved with people where it feels very intense, but I never have committed to them for a reason or another, right? So I think my thing is when I think about those relationships, because the person I follow, the advice he gives, as I said, is for like dating. But I found that a lot of the advice or like the boundaries that you would have for a partner, you would likely have them for like friendships as well. Like a lot of them will overlap, if not all of them. So I would say, I know, actually, guys, I just had a situation where I was befriending a guy, and I give guys less chances because I've just had too many experiences. So I'm like, you are not worth the benefit of the doubt all the time. But we were becoming friends, and then we were talking. It was great. This was via social media, but we had met in person at school. And then he had stopped communicating for like over a month. Nothing, still posting, still regularly, like, on social media. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe something's going on. Like, I'm not gonna initially like jump to conclusions. But then he ended up responding to like a random story like over a month later. It's like, oh, my bad, like I don't even have an excuse for not replying to you, not getting back to you. And I was just like, I was just not concerned at all. Then that pieced together with other things, I was like, you know what, I feel like I'm option D when it comes to like people you're making sure you think about and get back to. And I just cut things off before they really began, because I said I don't want a friend who is that like, I don't know, because it was other things too, but I was like, I don't want somebody in my life who's like, my bad, I don't have an excuse for not talking to you in this long. Because I'm like, when you're first getting to know somebody, you're on like your best friend, like you're on your best behavior. I'm like, this is your best behavior. We haven't even known each other 3 months. I'm like, that's crazy. And also like the way he was speaking to me, it felt like a little flirty, which made me really not take him seriously, because I'm like, okay, I think you were just bored, and I think you were just bored, and then you remember I existed, and then
you hit
exactly. And I'm like, oh my god, I really can't with men. But that was to me, I was like, yeah, cut off, done. Some people might let that slide and be like, oh, like it happens, life happens. So I think people can judge your own boundaries and think, you're too harsh, you protected your peace a little too and too intensely. But I'm to the point where I feel that I have experienced so many different things that one thing can turn into something bigger. And if I think that there is no way, like, I want to continue a friendship with you, like the way I view you is differently, I'll cut you off now before I have to cut you off for something else. And that's the way I see it. And some people don't see it like that. They'll think it's never going to get to that point, so why cut them off?
Okay, I do want to add, like, boundaries are a way to protect yourself.
Exactly.
But when it comes to, I'm going to cut you off now instead of later down the line because of something else.
Right.
the boundaries can also still play a role where you can let somebody still be in your life without getting to know you that closely.
That's another thing.
And it's like all these different layers that, you know, people have to get through before they know, I guess, the real you, I guess. Because with your situation with the guy, if I was in that situation and it's like a girly pop and it's a friend and there's no flirting.
Yeah, a girly pop, I would be able to, I would communicate.
I would be like, oh, you haven't texted me in a while. That's chill. You're just not in my inner circle like that. So I don't expect that of you. So I think that's how I kind of view it, where I have these layers of privileges for friends.
And I definitely think I would approach it the same way with a girl, because there's no flirting, there's no weirdness. Like, it was, you know, people get busy. Like, I wasn't going to take that to heart per se, but it was in combination with all these other things that just made me feel like kind of gross about the situation.
And like, you know, it is really difficult navigating the different gender relationships.
Precisely.
Because it's like, you don't know if they're catching feelings or if it's platonic.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, you'll definitely know if a guy likes you and will put his time and energy if he's consistently reaching out. But if he does a little ghost and it comes back,
that was like, oh, you think I'm stupid? Like,
that's a little no.
That's what I'm saying. So I do think, I also find that, not saying I do, okay, I argue that I've had guy friends, I've had friends who are girls, and the way they interact can be different. Some guys, it's very much like, shout out to Anthony, is very much giving platonic, like, you know what the relationship is. But other ones, it feels like there's an undercurrent of something else. So I don't know. I also found that protecting my peace means I don't want as many guy friends anymore. Like, I'm to the point where I really feel objectified by a lot of them. So I'm just like, I'm cool. Yeah. I'm cool. I'm not going to seek you out or go out of my way to make this work when you're not putting in the respect I feel like, you know, I would want. So it's different things like that. And when I think about it, it's just, it depends on you. It depends on your lived experiences.
It truly does.
I think also, true, you haven't had to be as like cutthroat per se, or like cutting people off in the same way. Since that, like, you weren't like bullied or anything like that, which would lead to you being like more cautious to who you let in your circle.
I do want to add, I do notice that I do this thing where once I finish a certain chapter in my life, for example, middle school, high school, college, work, I assess what kind of relationships I want to take forward with me.
Heavy on
and
that.
That's kind of like my way of like cutting things off, my way of like setting boundaries.
Like, it was at the end of an era and I don't continue a new one with you, I didn't want you in it.
I don't think I'm that harsh. I don't think I'm that harsh, because I think I'm really big on, you know, just keeping that mutual connection, because like we're just all vibing. Like,
yeah, no,
it's just, I don't have the energy to like invest in this relationship, even though you're probably a great person. I recognize that you're spending your energy differently and I'm spending my energy differently, and it's just not aligned.
Interesting. I will say it depends on the person for me. Some people, I didn't like them when we had to be around each other, so I definitely am not going to choose to be around you now. And some people, you know, you just grow apart, and that's completely okay. You kind of passively know somebody. But also, I just wanted to dive in when it comes to boundaries and everything. I'm curious, have you noticed that other people's boundaries, do you wish you had boundaries like other people do, or do you kind of feel like the way I move is fine? Because I know sometimes I wish that I was as self-assured and confident in myself when I was younger, to be able to bring things up and not feel like anxious about advocating for myself. And some people can do that with ease.
So I would love to have more confidence in being able to advocate for myself, because I don't. Like, throughout this entire episode, I've been telling you that I slowly fade away. Oh, I used an excuse of a chapter closing to end a relationship. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I am not confrontational as a person, and I would love to grow into that more.
Yeah. And I think that's something that you have to practice, though, because that's the biggest thing I realized.
I'm living life in peace right now. I got no one to practice that on.
And that's good, though. But I realized there was, you know, multiple people that I was like, okay, I got to confront this head on, because if I'm super passive about it, then I feel they'll think they still have a place in my life. And I'm like, no, it's honestly a wrap. Like,
you're in the prime area right now to practice all of that. Meeting a bunch of new people in college.
No, heavy on that. And I do think one thing that I found is college campuses are not that large. So I blocked that man because I was like, I'm done. And I remember one of my friends was like, she had a situation with a guy. And I was like, you should just block him. She's like, well, no, I had to see him. Like, I don't want to block him. I blocked that man. I see him all the time. And I'm just like, I didn't even date that man, but I don't want to see you all the time. So I think that's another layer to it. Sometimes people leave the door open because they don't want to make their life harder.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I'm not cool with you, I do not want you to act like you know me. I don't want you to say hi to me. I'm not playing pretend with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because some people be like, that story was not that bad. I'm leaving out details. I'm not telling you everything in the story.
Of course.
But I don't know. Sometimes people think protecting your peace goes too far and you don't give people a chance to explain themselves or to have a second opportunity. What do you think about that? Because I've seen that argument a lot.
Yes. Okay, so since we're on like the whole friendship realm and boundaries with that, I watched this YouTuber recently.
Ooh.
And he was talking about just like Gen Z and how we navigate friendships. It's a more recent video, but he was sharing the like single character flaw theory where everybody has this flaw and like, you know, we're not perfect.
Right.
Where when you're entering a friendship or a relationship, it's like after a while, can you recognize that they have this flaw and be okay with it? Because you are actively, you know, putting yourself in a space where they just have that flaw and you just have to live with it. So if you are agreeing to continue the friendship, you are agreeing to accept them for who they are.
Ooh,
versus cutting them out.
Ooh, okay, can I say something?
Yeah.
I think that's interesting because I am fully aware that everyone has flaws. Nobody is a perfect person. But I will say, and this is typically with men once again, but sometimes this has happened in my friendships with women, that I discover something about them that makes me reevaluate everything that I thought I knew about them, because they behave in a way that feels so against the character that I've gotten to know that I simply cannot. I feel like being your friend is condoning this action, condoning your behavior, and I'm so horrified that I'm like, I can't be here. I cannot stand by your side knowing that this is how you feel about something or this is how you move through the world. Especially because my biggest thing is people can make mistakes, but if you tell me you did something and you say it so like lightly, like it wasn't something that really did affect other people or was a big deal, that says a lot about how you view things now, which is concerning, because how could this have happened so many years ago and you still haven't taken accountability for your actions.
Okay.
And that's interesting because I see a lot of white women will get with racists. They'll get with racists, and I saw someone talking about this, they'll get with racist men, and then when they leave them or they're homophobic and they'll like expose their boyfriends, but you were dating them and you were okay with all of this when you dated them. So it's like, how can you sit here and play the moral high ground now?
Right.
And I think
the whole virtue.
Yeah, like how can you act like so virtuous when you were snuggled up with this man and he was calling people slurs? So it's like that there's something there as well.
Yeah.
I honestly think that too many people, to an extent, want to be, oh my goodness, I saw someone else talk about this, that they were frustrated. They're saying if you have, somebody in your life, or you're that one friend who's like, I don't take sides, that, because I would argue, they were like, then you're always passive to everything, and you don't throw your weight to, you don't have any, I guess, strong opinions if you're not like, I'm not in it, I don't want to be in it. And I see both sides. I think on one hand, sometimes people really don't have an opinion. They like, it's like, it's not that deep to me. Like what you guys are fighting about, I don't care. And on other times, I think it's also just people don't want to have to pick a side or make things messy or rock the boat because that makes them uncomfortable. But then it's also like, well, dang, do you have a strong opinion on either which side? Like, do you have a strong opinion? Are you keeping it to yourself? Like, why not say something?
And I think at the end of the day, that's kind of like a whole value system and like what you really just want to surround yourself by.
Heavy on that.
And like that's kind of where it is with boundaries, because everybody has different boundaries, different things they're willing to share, and you also have the right to like allow what is entering your life and what doesn't.
Very true. I've seen so many stories, and this is dating wise when I really think about it, where people will say, oh, he cheated on me, but it's okay because all guys cheat and I'm okay with that. That's their boundary. Or I've seen other people just, I know. I know. Or I know. So other people are like, I don't accept a liar. If he lies to me about anything, we're done. I don't care. And there's no line for them. So I think that's so interesting. I remember we talked about a few months ago on Love is Blind. They were Serena and Cordell. Yeah. And Serena had such strong boundaries. Yeah. And it paid off because I think Cordell really understood, okay, I can't play with her. I can't I will really lose her. And I think if you value a relationship more, if you know that person, while they have love for you, they have more love for themselves. I think it comes down to, do you put that person first or do you put yourself first? And that can seem like a selfish mindset. But at the end of the day, you're never going to leave yourself. So you need to surround yourself with people who respect you just as much as you respect yourself. Right. They care for you just as much as you care for yourself. And when you're around people who are so openly and willing to hurt you or, you know, be extremely rude to you, what does that say about you and how you value yourself? Like, a lot of people say your relationships are a reflection of how you feel about yourself and what you're willing to accept. Yeah. It's like, if someone disrespects you openly, but you're like, well, that's my man, that's my that's my person, I don't care. Yeah. Why don't you care? Do you not think you can do better? It makes me think a lot. I get so sad for people because I'm like, you can do better, but you have to be alone for a while before it gets better. And I think people don't want to be alone, honestly, and that's more to like, I think that's a Gen Z thing. Really? Because
we're always online.
That's true.
There's a loneliness epidemic.
But I don't know if millennials aren't just as lonely. They're just not as vocal.
No, statistically, girl. Statistically.
Oh, yikes. Oopsies. Why do you know that?
No, because it was the same video.
Oh, okay. It was the same
video I referenced earlier.
I was like, what? No, but I will say it's very I don't know. It just makes me think a lot. Like, because it was, not too long ago, it was Valentine's Day, and you see people post it up, and I'm like, I know the inner workings of your relationship. You got a smile on your face. I would not be smiling if I had that man. I'd be crying, and I'd be leaving.
Girl, you talking about the friends that vent to you?
I'm talking about people in general. I'm talking about celebrities. We've seen celebrity relationships are a hot mess. The whole Haley and Justin Bieber, there are always rumors about them going on, but there's always people idolizing their relationship. So
that's none of my business. That relationship is not mine.
But as we close up, I just want to say, if you're able to really establish boundaries and apply them to the different people in your life, I'm telling you, you will feel so much better when you look back and you see who's still in it, because those are the people who really have your back, one, and two, are not going to be sucking your energy like a vampire. So I think my advice is, be careful who you let in your life, and if you have to let someone go, let them go. My last bit of advice: do not beat yourself up if you feel like you didn't really know somebody. But if you stay because of all the great memories you had with that person, that's on you. And that's all I will say to that, because you can't control people's actions, but you can control when you walk away and leave. And that's what I want to end with.
Nice wrap up.
All relationships, guys, friendships, lovey-dovey relationships, you can have boundaries and you can put them in place. So that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents. And I'm going to do my little song rec, guys. I've been listening to this song, and it literally has, oh my goodness. It's been, I don't know, like, it's making my brain feel fuzzy in a good way. Ooh. But this is Doubt by, I think it's RZA, like RISSA. And it's so catchy, and it's so, I don't know. It was getting me through midterms, guys.
Okay. So one of the things I learned this week is, actually, I was watching this book review about,
which book?
It's called Stolen Focus.
Okay.
It's more of an educational book.
Okay.
And it's mainly talking about like the attention deficit of everybody, and how everybody is agreeing that our attention is lacking. And one of the things that the video book summary shared with me is that the best way to improve your attention span is to enter flow state as often as you can.
What is that?
And flow state is when you are working on something and time passes by you and you're just fully ingrained into the thing that you're doing. And another fun fact from that like video I watched was, did you know that it takes 23 minutes on average now for us to get back to entering focus mode?
Oh my gosh.
After
it really
we get
is
distracted?
Phones.
It's the phone.
Just like we said.
Yup.
Shout out to whatever episode that was.
But yeah, that is what I learned this week. And I thought it was interesting.
That's kind of sad though.
It is, but we can do better. There was a solution, and it's entering flow state.
Which is getting off your phone.
Yes.
But I want to say, as we close things up, shout out to Bobby.
Shout out to Bobby.
And shout out to the Humanities Department. Bye, guys.
Bye.